motion, please, somebody.
So moved.
Stephanie, you want to help us out this time? With our
Sure, I'll
motion?
second.
Okay, thanks. A roll call vote, right?
Yes.
Chris, is Chris here yet?
No.
Okay. Jennifer?
Yes, aye.
I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
And Mike.
Aye.
All right. We're in closed session on a vote of 4-0-1. I don't teach math, but I think I got that right. So we're going to see y'all over at the other one. Convening into open session. We need a motion, please.
So moved.
And I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Chris is not here. Jen?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
And Michael?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0-1. Pledge of Allegiance. Got a flag over here. You ready, everybody? Let's do the pledge together. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Adoption of agenda. May I have a motion on that, please?
So moved.
Moved.
I'll second.
Second, roll call vote. Chris is not here. Jen?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
And Michael?
Aye.
It's an aye. Motion carries 4-0-1. Announcement of actions taken in closed session. The board gave direction on negotiations with STA, CSEA, and management, unrepresented folks, including management. Recognition. Buena Vista Middle School newspaper.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but are we thrilled to see kids again or what? Man, this is great. And thank you, kids, for coming. You look like you're doing great. We're very proud of you pulling off COVID, but you guys are doing even more than that. You are adding enrichment to your schools and doing all those things virtually that we love to do in person. But why don't we give it to the principals and they can go ahead and recognize who's here and what they've done. Teresa, do you want to start with the ASB?
Sure. This is my our Spreckels School Student Council Executive Board. We decided this is one thing we couldn't leave out this year. And so I'm excited to work with the Student Council. And so I'm going to introduce our new Student Council officers and also share with the school board that we also have representatives from each class for 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. So all the classes are well represented in learning leadership skills. The students that are here tonight, we just got started. We just had elections right around Inauguration Day. It was perfect timing. They created slides to campaign, and we shared them with all the classes. And they also videotaped speeches, and we shared them with the classes. And then we did Google survey votes in each classroom to see who won. And so I'm very proud of everybody who ran. We had a lot of students run for office this year. Really proud. 4th and 5th graders. Really proud of them. And so these guys won for a good reason. They represent themselves well, and I'm excited to work with them. Their first job, I gave it to them, I didn't ask them, is next Monday is the 100th day of school. And so they decided, instead of being like every other school around when everybody dresses like they're 100 years old, they decided that we are going to dress 100 years into the future to celebrate our day. So it'll be 2121 next Monday. And we are dressing whatever we think it looks like in the future. And so they've each created a little short video to share what they think it'll be like then. And we will be presenting that next Monday. So they took on their first job really well and did it in a great way. I'm very proud of them. So I think the rest of the year will be lots of fun, and they'll do lots of great things for the school. And so with that being said, our president is Caitlin Mendoza. Caitlin, you want to give a wave? Caitlin's a 5th grader, and she was in student council last year too. So it's good to have returning folks. 5th grade is president's the only office this year that was required of only 5th graders to run. Everybody else could do either way. So I'm very proud of her. And then our vice president is Jude Ryan. Jude has that great fish tank behind him. And he's a great role model too. And then our secretary is London Stroud. And London, there's London. London is going to take great minutes for us and give us lots of great ideas. She's very creative. And then our treasurer is Lucas Merritt. And Lucas, give us a wave. Lucas is in Hawaii right now, so we're not really talking to him, but he still comes to meetings and he still participates. So I'm really proud of him. He's still doing school, so I'm really glad. And Lucas, we're glad to have you. And we have 2 spirit officers because spirit's the most important thing for us right now at Spreckels. So Eden Powell, Eden, say hi. Eden's got her cool background there and her headphones on. And Lila Garcia. And they both have wonderful ideas already. And I think that's one of the reasons they were elected, for all their great ideas. So we're really excited to have student council and to for me to teach them a little bit about student government and for them to be able to share all their creativity with our fellow students. So thank you for allowing them to be recognized tonight. I'm excited for what's going to happen this year. And at the end of the school year, I will share all the things we did, or maybe they can come back and share. So thank you to Spreckels Student Council. We're just very glad to have you, and you well-deserved recognition. You guys just rocked it. I'm very proud of you all. So thank you. Round of applause.
And Kate, I think you have the BV newspaper, right?
I do. So I am recognizing 4 individuals from our BV newspaper. And I just want to take a moment. These individuals actually came to me and wanted to propose this idea, which in and above itself is phenomenal. It wasn't something that I reached out to the students and say, come on, guys, let's do this. It was something that was originally proposed from Marley Miller 7 weeks ago, who said that she wanted to put a newspaper together and she wanted to run it weekly. And I told her that those are very ambitious goals, and she has kept to it. We have had 6 newspapers already happen. It happens every week. We send it out on Monday, and she has gathered a group of young writers that sticks to their timelines, writes very professional, optimistic selections in our newspaper each week. And so I have chosen 4, with the help of her guidance and Madison Stagner, to kind of talk tonight about their articles that they've been writing. There are many more I would love to recognize tonight, but the club keeps growing. So I'm only going to pick 4 today. Today we have Marley Miller, Madison Stagner, Sophia Retschow, and Cruz Mendoza. And if you guys don't mind, I'd like you to talk about an article that you've been writing. And just a quick blurb to everybody here, and we'll go in that order. So Marley, then Madison, then Sophia, and we'll end with Cruz. So go ahead, Marley.
Hi, so as Ms. Haggard said, I'm Marley Miller, and I kind of help oversee like what everyone writes. So I kind of have a little bit of writing in everyone's because I help edit it. But my main article that I write myself is the Student of the Week for 6th grade. So pretty much what the Student of the Week for the 6th grade is I send out a Google form every week in the newspaper for next week. So I'll say, do you have someone that you would like to recognize in the 6th grade who has been kind to you or think deserves to be recognized? And then they'll click on the form, and for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they'll have a slot and a chance to fill out a name or a person who they think deserves to be recognized. So I count up the votes, and whoever has the most votes out of the people who have been sent to me, I go into a private Google Meet with them and I interview them, and I just try to figure out the type of people they are, the type of things that their interests, and what type of stuff they like to do in their free time, both in school and outside of school. And then I write an article on that, so that even though we can't be with each other in person and see each other in school, we can still kind of get to know our peers and our friends, even though we're not with them in person.
All right, Madison.
Okay, hi, I'm Madison Stagner, and I do the 8th grade Student of the Week. So like what Marley said, whoever gets voted for 8th grade from the Google form I get to go on an interview with them from a private Google Meet, and I just try to figure out what kind of person they are, what their hobbies are, and what they have been doing during quarantine and everything, and what they want to do when they get out of quarantine, and just write about them. And it's really fun.
Thank you, Madison. Sophia.
Hi, I'm Sophia, and I kind of hop around my columns a little bit. I've written about quotes. I've written about other things too that I can't remember off the top of my head. But my main, my article that I do write once a month is called Career Explorations, and what I do is I interview someone who I think has a cool job for one newspaper a month and ask them questions like, what inspired you to do this? What is the best part of what you do? And I like putting that in the newspaper because it can inspire other people to think about what they might want to do. And the two that I've done so far is for January, I interviewed a woman who is a pilot and she co-runs her own skydiving business and has skydived over 17,000 times. And this month, for next week's newspaper, actually, I interviewed a woman who is actually a TV news anchor. Her name is Lauren Seaver, and she's on KSBW. And so I write about people like them who pursued their dream careers, and I write about what inspired them and what they like about doing that.
Thank you, Sophia. And Cruz.
Hello, I am Cruz Mendoza, and I write about the bike life section with Connor Bajorn in the article. And as soon as Marley proposed the idea, we thought it'd be great because I absolutely love to ride bikes. Kind of a fun way to get exercise and do tricks. And we even get to go to these really big ride outs where there's hundreds of people just recording, having fun, riding their bikes. And I actually get to go to one this weekend in San Francisco, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Cruz. And just a little final wrap up. Board members, if you do want to see these newspaper articles, I can forward them on to you. Parents at home, if you're watching this and you want to see them, your students get them emailed into their emails every week. But if you would like to have a copy yourself, I do not mind forwarding it as well. They are extremely optimistic, and you walk away feeling refreshed. It's just such a nice, uplifting part of my day once this started. So to the 4 that are here, and then the many more that are doing the newspaper every week, I'm sorry I couldn't recognize all of you, but thank you so much for all of your hard work with this.
That was really cool stuff. Students. It's nice to see some. Okay, thank you. This is a public meeting, and students, you're welcome to stay up and hang with us the rest of this meeting. But if you're looking to bail out, we won't fault you for it at this time. Thank you. You have homework, or maybe your homework assignment is to watch this meeting. I don't know, but you're welcome to stay if you want. We're moving on with the meeting now. Thank you, everybody. Individuals desiring to address the board. We've had only one email letter from Mr. David Kong, who's running as a CSBA delegate, and we will take that up for action at our next meeting in a month, if I'm not mistaken. So thank you for that. Bargaining unit presentations. STA. Is STA in the house?
Yes. Good evening. It's hard to believe, but we are now more than halfway through the second trimester and are quickly approaching the 100th day of school. Classrooms at both sites have found their groove, and while teachers continue to work harder than ever to keep up with the demands and challenges of distance learning, students are learning and progressing. I think we clearly saw that tonight, which was so nice. Teachers are working to ensure that not only are students' varying academic needs being met, but that their social emotional needs are being met as well. Currently, 7th grade students are pushing themselves academically as they study rock formations by looking at the Great Plains and Rocky Mountains, analyze the connections between World War II and the Harry Potter series, and argue their opinions about whether geographical location, increased trade routes, or the introduction of ironwork had a greater impact on the evolution of civilizations in Western Africa. Meanwhile, at Spreckels, social emotional needs are being nurtured as students recently had a fun virtual spirit week, and yesterday they participated in the International Day of Play. Now they're preparing for 100th day activities. Aside from the amazing ways students continue to grow in the virtual classroom, several topics have been the topic of discussion amongst many STA members recently. One of these topics is the COVID vaccine. Although teachers are not eligible yet in Monterey County to receive the vaccine, our members have been provided with a resource to register for the vaccine and receive alerts as it becomes available in our area. On the flip side of this desire to become vaccinated as quickly as possible, there is a sector of our membership that seeks information on their rights to choose not to receive the vaccination and how that will affect their employment status within the district. Another topic of concern within our membership is this year's state testing. Much of STA has grave concerns about the validity of state tests without equitable testing environments, as well as the increased stress this will place on an already stress-induced student population. Further, teachers are concerned about the time away from teaching that state tests will take in a year where time is more important than ever. With the flawed data these tests are likely to produce, many wonder if they would do more harm than good. Are there other ways that data about potential learning loss as a whole and amongst individual students could be collected? CTA has created a petition regarding this concern that our membership has received as well. As we move into the spring, we will continue to adjust and communicate as new information arises. Thank you, as always, for your time and willingness to listen and collaborate with us. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. CSEA, do we have anybody from CSEA tonight? No. Mr. Superintendent, no, not tonight? Okay. Board member comments. Let's start with Stephanie. Do you have any comments tonight?
No comments tonight, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
No comments, thank you.
All righty. Jen?
Yes. Ski week is coming up. I love holidays. I love breaks. Ski week is coming up. It's something I look forward to. And this is my wish for all of you. I hope you do something you enjoy, right? Something that you don't, even if it's nothing, right? I wish you to be able to do something you enjoy. Kids, everybody, right? I think we got this.
That's pretty healthy advice. Thank you. Myself, it was great seeing students tonight, and a weekly newspaper is daunting. I used to be in charge of a monthly newsletter, and that was just an albatross, always sitting there on the calendar with a deadline. I can't imagine pulling off a weekly newspaper. That's a lot. And wow, talk about tenacity. Good job there. I did attend a training presented by Lozano Smith on Monday night for school board presidents throughout Monterey County and or superintendents. And it was good stuff just to make sure, meetings flow well and we don't end up on the news. I'll leave it at that, if you've been paying attention in the last week or so. That's all I have. Moving on to oral and written communications, I guess maybe that's where I was supposed to talk about Mr. Kong. I don't know. But do we have anything else?
No, and his was submitted as a public comment, so you did it in the right place.
I did right. Oh, good. All right.
Yeah.
This meeting's, see, I paid attention on Monday night after all. Okay. Reports, we'll start with the superintendent.
Tonight, I just wanted to give a shout out and absolute respect for our entire community and our parents. I was thinking about this last week, that it's been a year that they've endured this pandemic. They've also had wildfires and evacuations. Just a couple of weeks ago, mudslides and more evacuations, and still they're just hanging tough, and they're getting the kids to class. So I just wanted to express my utmost respect for them. I think we're all a reflector in this time of trying to find some silver lining to this. And I truly believe that our that we all, especially our kids, are going to come out of this with a sense of a strength of character that's going to be extremely rare, that only a few generations get, whether it's the Great Depression or World War II, or you go through some just extraordinary hard loss in your life. That our kids are going to come out okay. The fact is, we're going to be making up math skills and language arts skills for a while, and that's important. But I think our kids will come out of this with, again, that chiseled strength that you can't teach, you can't read about, you have to experience. And I think it's going to be something that I pray gets them through the harder things in life. So that's my silver lining. I'm thinking about it a lot, but I do think this generation is going to be looked at in history as one of those that endured. So shout out to everybody. In less deep conversation, I wanted to share with the board an opportunity. We were invited to take part in a local superintendent / 2 board member vertical articulation, specifically with the Salinas Union High School superintendent, Salinas City, Washington, and I think a couple other local ones. They've invited us, me and any 2 board members, if you'd like to take part. Right now it's just in the introductory, see, there you go, just the introductory stages of seeing who's in. I kind of already RSVP'd, say I think we'd like to. So if any 2 of you would like to be part of that, just offline, let me know, or, we could figure it out. But I think it's gonna be a great opportunity. Vertical articulation, when you start at 12th grade and work all the way down to TK, is pretty powerful. It's what's expected. What are you doing here? And I think it's a great opportunity. So hopefully we'll take part in that. Once again, it's LCAP time. You think COVID's kind of like preoccupied our time, but business continues. And I'll be sending out an email the next week or so, trying to recruit from the different stakeholder groups. Our LCAP for the next 3 years will be presented to you in May and June and for approval, and that continues. So that's parents out there, if you'd like to be on a different kind of committee. The LCAPs, when we set our goals for the next 3 years, no doubt one of our goals will talk about learning loss and what we can do to re-engage students once they get back. And last but not least, I hear that a student superintendent and principal have got recruited to take a polar plunge soon. Teresa, is that true? Are you out there?
I'm right here. Yep.
Supposedly, if the kids read so many million words, Teresa and I are jumping into the Pacific Ocean. I don't know how I got roped into that, but kids out there, if you need to take some time off reading, now's the perfect time not to do it. So just kidding. Keep reading. Can't wait to dive into the ocean. Good job. That's it for me, Steve.
All right. That's plenty. Thank you.
You out there?
Buena Vista.
I'm right here. Yeah.
Okay.
Eric, when's the last time you felt that ocean water? It's pretty dang cold.
It might be like 5-10 years. I don't know. I'm looking at wetsuits are being ordered.
Nice. Well, things are just moving along at the middle school. We had progress reports go out a couple weeks ago. We had a lot of our community was, placed on an evacuation order just last week. And we had our staff be very flexible with due dates and accountability, and we just wanted families to prioritize safety. And so for all the families that were juggling school and the evacuation order, thank you so much for all of your commitment. It's kind of crazy when we think of every natural type of disaster that has occurred for us this year and has affected our school community and how resilient we are as a group. So Spreckels proud. Good job, Spreckels. And we're just kind of moving through. We have February break in a week. I think everybody's looking forward to that break. Classes are going smoothly, and about 3 weeks, parents, you'll hear about the next trimester elective survey that will be going out. So students will be able to choose their 3rd trimester elective. And yeah, things are just running along. We thank all families who are having their students turn their cameras on, because again, it's really tough during these times to maintain a positive social environment if we don't see the student. But people have been really, really supportive of having their kids keep their cameras on unless there's a lot of connectivity issues at home. So thank you again to all the families. Teachers, keep on doing the phenomenal work you're doing. And of course, students, if you're listening, which I don't know if many of you are, but keep on keeping on. All right, I'll pass it on to Teresa.
Thank you. Spreckels Elementary.
Thanks. I always get to echo because I'm last, and that's okay with me. But I really want to echo what Eric and Kate said about our families and our kids and their resiliency. This is such an incredibly tough time for everyone for the same reasons and for different reasons. And people just keep being strong and stepping up and not giving up. And that's what we have to do through this. And I'm just very proud of our community. It's just amazing what our kids can do and what our parents are supporting us to do. So I also say to all the parents out there and all the families and caregivers and babysitters and everybody, thank you so much for keeping the kids learning and making them understand, or helping them to understand how important it really is to go to school and be educated. Because that's really what we're talking about. You know, you got to go to school. It's your job. It's what's important for you right now. And so let's not give up on that. And I also want to shout out to the teachers and to all the support staff, because, man, our support staff has been huge for us this year. But I just want to shout out to everybody who works for Spreckels School, you know, from our superintendent to everybody, from picking up lunches to running the front office to sanitizing the rooms and everything that has to happen on a daily basis that we don't always see the whole picture. It's just incredible. We really are a team, and we're a very special team, and I'm really honored to be part of it. So thank you to all. Jennifer already mentioned a couple things that we are doing, but I just want to highlight, and I'm glad that she was able to share that. But we just finished with our character trait pride for January. So we were pirate proud all month. And we had a Spirit Week last week, and it was a lot of fun. We had College Day and Disney Day. Those are very different, right? But the kids had a lot of fun with that and lots of things in between. We also celebrated, and so did BV, National Kindness Week. And that was really special. It's such a good time to do that right now in our world, to really remind everybody it's really important to be kind. And man, our kids really step up for that and really do a great job. So we participated. I'm sure Kate did too. We got our certificate. So it was very cool because we registered both of our schools. Yay. And then we also had Global Day of Play yesterday. It is a global international day, and just to support how powerful play is in our world and how we should always play. So remember, when Jennifer was saying, do what you love, maybe that's playing. And, you know, who knows what that means for you, but I love a good card game or a board game every day. But anyway, so with that being said, it was really fun. And I know I'm taking up time, but just really quick. We had teachers doing yoga, dance, art projects, engineering projects, architectural work. They were building. It was just incredible. Kids were playing challenge games with each other. One of the teachers told me today, 2 4th grade boys went into a breakout room and were just talking, just socializing and pretending they were throwing a ball back and forth. But they were talking the whole time. They just needed some time to talk to each other. So cool. And I'm so proud of the teachers for getting involved and making sure it happened for the kids. There was lots of great things going on. I also just want to say that, of course, Monday's the 100th day of school. We're a week late because we waited for the fires, and so we're excited about, I'll send some pictures, 2121. Who knows what it's going to look like? The kids have some really crazy ideas about transporting and how you just have to think about where you want to go and you'll be there. That was the most fun one I heard. So anyway, that's pretty cool. And I also just want to shout out to my 5th grade teachers, because they did their how-to speeches, which we do every year, Mrs. Pena knows, and how to do that in the virtual world. I've been going to the classrooms and listening to their speeches. They're awesome. Just watched a young 5th grader, young gentleman, make chocolate chip cookies yesterday. Made me very hungry. And another one, barbecue tri-tip. And then another one showed me how to jump hills or whatever they're called on his dirt bike. And there's just so many things out there that they like to do, and they were sharing. So it's wonderful to keep moving forward with our education, our academics, and our traditions. So we're busy, and we're going to keep busy. That keep our mind on the good stuff. So thank you very much to everybody for your support and for listening.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anybody from SUEF tonight?
Yes. I know. Here we go. Their meeting is Tuesday night at 7 p.m.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Like, would they meet once a month or?
Let's see. Every month on the second Tuesday.
Cool.
Right, right now, it's every other month for PTO and SUF because we're not on campus and they're not doing a lot of fundraising. They're meeting every other month.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
It is this month. You are correct, but they did not meet in January.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
7 p.m. Tuesday.
Anybody from PTO tonight? About Bobcat Club?
For PTO, they did have a meeting in January. However, no updates to share, according to the president.
Thank you. Bobcat Club?
That's me too. Wow. Next meeting will be on promotions, April 7th at 3:15 p.m. That's a Wednesday. Mark your calendars. Wednesday, April 7th at 3:15 p.m. talking about promotions. Book fair. Watch out for book fair. That's coming March 22nd through April 4th. So they'll be sending out an email. So don't get that deleted, right? Keep your email for book fair. And that's also, if you haven't joined the Facebook page, please go and join the Bobcat Facebook page so you can keep updated that way also. And they will post these dates on there. Yeah, and I just want to thank all the volunteers for Bobcat. Thank you for spending your time on doing this. It's really important. You do great things for our school and our students.
Terrific. Thank you for the update. Okay. Trying to avoid coughing. Not that kind of cough. All right. Business information, fund balance report.
So I'm going to, whoops, not that one. I'm going to try to share the agenda. Bear with me. Okay, please let me know when you see it.
See it.
All right, so this is our fund balance summary for the period ending January 31st, 2021. And this is a positive ending balance month, which is very good news. Our surplus is about $500,000. So our revenues are definitely catching up with our expenditures. We may see a drop in this over the next couple of months, as February is the first month of the deferral of our LCFF revenue. But we're in very good standing as of today, again, leaning heavily on this beginning fund balance of $5.1 million. If you ever have any specific questions about this report, just shoot me an email or give me a call. We can go over it in great detail.
Okay. Is that it? Is that it, Veronica?
That is it.
Thank you. Everybody good? Any questions? None. Okay, moving on to facilities update, if we can.
So I went ahead and moved to the next item on the agenda, but on the facility side, just real quick, I just want to share that we are continuing to prepare the classrooms for reopening. The custodial and maintenance staff are on a daily basis making sure that we're going to be ready when we get the green light. We were thrown off a bit last week when the rainstorm came our way, and the guys all did a great job of trying to button up the sites before the storm really started. And then we had about 2 days of pretty heavy rain. We had a little bit of water damage in a couple of places, but we identified it quickly and mitigated any real risk or long-term problem. So thanks to the staff for the work they did during those couple of days of really bad weather.
Okay, thank you for that. Enrollment attendance report for the period ending December 18th.
So typically in January, we bring you an enrollment and attendance or an absence summary report. And what we're looking at is basically the types of absences that have occurred from the start of school through the Christmas break. And in the past, when you've seen this, it's listed things like sickness or they were absent because maybe we had a lice outbreak or doctor's appointments. There's a whole list of different types of reasons for absences, both excused and unexcused. Well, now that we are in distance learning, we're tracking absences based on engaged or unengaged. And so I pulled the data with the help of Jennifer Pollock, our registrar. She just knows how to maneuver through our student information system so brilliantly. She really helped me pull this together because I was surprised I couldn't see it as a sick day or a doctor's appointment. It's been updated to capture this whole distance learning world that we're in. So in summary, our engaged rate is phenomenal. So at Spreckels School, the engaged rate for 75 instructional days is 98%, 98.6. If we rounded that up, that would be 99%. That is just incredible. And Buena Vista is not far behind them. And so in our typical attendance pre-COVID, we would be thrilled with about a 96% attendance rate. So to get an engaged rate of distance learning at this high of a pace is really quite something. But we did break it down into the details just to see what are the reasons for even that small percentage of unengaged. And so Teresa or Kate, I don't know if y'all want to speak to any of these, but I know that they're taking a look at this and trying to find out, for example, the category of they're unengaged because of technology problems. I think that we try to quickly address what those are and then reach out to support those kids. But this is just an interesting way to look at what's been happening. And even though there are some disengaged, the percentage across the district is really quite low. And Kate and Teresa, did you guys want to chime in on any of this?
I'm very, again, thrilled with how much families are, supporting their kids, getting them onto their schedules, because typically we have a bell schedule that helps everybody remember where to go and at what time. And families are doing that. They're getting them up, they're getting them ready. We're having a lot of engagement, and it's wonderful. If you take a look at those numbers, the primary reason for students being out is either they're sick or there was some sort of tech issue for the day. And that includes like power outages that happen, which we've had a couple of those days with strong winds or like the evacuation orders and different things that have affected our local community's Wi-Fi connectivity. And so the fact that the main two reasons that students are not going to school is because they're sick or because of something that they can't control is pretty good. We've been very impressed with the amount of engagement. So thank you everybody again for getting your kids in class and for logging them in and having them participate in school wherever you are. So thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Teresa, did you have anything to share? Or?
No, I agree with Kate. I'm really pleased. And I just really want to give a shout out to Travis and Ryan because the tech support's a big deal and it goes for staff and for students. There'll be teachers that can't get on for whatever reason or something happens. And I know in my neighborhood, we went down for a few hours one day and that hits about 10 of us teachers. And so it was like, they were all texting me, I can't get on that. So whatever something comes up that can be fixed, or a Chromebook needs to be exchanged or whatever, hotspot, whatever, Travis is on it like boom, and it's fixed. And Ryan's out there helping the teachers and staff, and that makes a huge difference. I mean, there's no question about, what did you do to your computer or why is it doing this? Now it's just like, bring it to me, let me fix it or give you a new one or whatever, so those kids can get right back to learning. That's huge. That's really huge. And so I just want to give a big shout out to Travis and Ryan.
Veronica, I have a question on this. Does anybody else, sorry, want to interrupt? Okay. Do we have any outreach going to the Do You Refuse or the No Work with the NC?
I think Kate and Teresa can probably speak to that process when they're running their daily reports or their end of week reports.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah. Jen, the good and the bad news is we have so few kids not engaged. That's the good news. We really can identify them. The bad news is that we definitely reach out. That goes from the teacher to the principals to even I make calls as well. We're not going to let kids just not engage. But we know that certain families, it's really hard right now, and we're doing our best to support them. But yes, we have identified those kids and doing everything we can to bring them back.
Any other board members? Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Moving on to budget update. Governor's January proposal.
So I have just a few quick slides I want to go through. This is based on the news from the proposal from the governor that came out in January. And I took school services slides and I tweaked them to speak to just what will happen locally. So he is proposing an increase to our primary source of funding, which is the loss control funding formula. So in 21-22, if all things stay the same in terms of our enrollment, we're projected to receive an increase of $300,000 or an average per pupil funding of $312. So that's very good news. The other big piece is that the deferrals are going to slow down. There will continue to be just under the total deferral in the beginning was 1.26 million in the current budget year that we're in, and that's going to drop down to 260,000 from the 1.26. So there's about $1 million in a deferral pay down, which those cash receipts will be received over the summer months. But that is huge news in the proposal, and we hope that passes through the legislature. There's going to be some educator professional development coming our way. We don't know exactly. They're proposing over $540 million. How that trickles down to Spreckels is unknown, but we're excited about that in terms of supporting both new teachers, current teachers, and any other types of professional development programs that we can benefit from for our certificated staff. There is a lot of chatter about this one. This is the Expanded Learning Time and Academic Intervention Grant. And for Spreckels, at this moment, the projected funding estimate is $578,000. That is a lot of money. And the focus is on this group of kids, low income, English learner, foster, and homeless youth. And it's to, I'm sorry, that's not reading very well, but it's to support additional instructional days or summer schools or maybe instructional minutes within the day. And it's all geared towards the learning loss mitigation that has been happening since COVID started. I don't know how this will play out. There's a lot of chatter about this money and giving some flexibility and at least extending timelines, because if it has a term of 1 year, it's going to be quite something to spend this much money on this group of kids in 12 months. But it's in the proposal. We'll see what happens. Some of the main things that aren't in the budget that we're hoping will get negotiated is the liability piece of COVID-19 in terms of what happens if somebody gets it at school or a teacher or a student. The workers' comp, obviously, that group of folks are quite concerned about that. The UPP, that is the unduplicated pupil counts. And in the current year, they are giving us credit for the attendance records that we had last year before we closed down. That's what we're being funded on right now in this current year. In the budget year, we're going to use that same number, but they did not allow us to hold that same level for that unduplicated population. And we have definitely seen a drop in that group. Most of them are the free and reduced students. And it's not that they're maybe not here in our district, it's that parents are not submitting and applying for free and reduced lunch because all lunch is free right now. So there's really a reporting gap in this, and hopefully this will be worked out in the budget negotiations. We're also seeing some increase in CalSTRS and CalPERS, which is a statutory benefit. There may be movement on that. His proposal did support the increase a little bit, but this is one of the great unknowns in terms of the years out on our budget projections. We'd also like to see more discretionary dollars and less tied up into these restricted programs with timelines. We need the money to decide what's important to our community. And I think, as everyone has shared so nicely tonight, Spreckels is a very unique community, and I think we can make good choices on how to spend our money. But sometimes these things from the state come with such strings that it just doesn't necessarily fit our community or our culture. So more to come. There's still CARES Act out there. There's the December COVID relief that was passed at the federal level extended the deadline beyond December 30th, gave us another year, and then the state came in and said, no, we're not giving you a year. We're giving you to May 31st. So this is something that we'll work through just in terms of the accounting side of the programs that have been funded with those dollars, because we want to make sure that we do spend them out by May 31st. And that's it on the budget, on the governor's proposal. Do you have any specific questions about any of that, or you want to just jump onto the budget calendar?
Fellow board members, does anybody have any questions on the first presentation about the provisional budget? Seeing none, I guess we can move on to the budget calendar guidelines and assumptions.
So these three documents just sort of lay out what is the beginning of our budget development process for the 2021-22 school year. And this calendar, you see it every year. It just tells us, it's really a guide for us to follow in the district office, what we need to get done in January, February, March, so on and so forth. But something that we added to this, because of the Safe Schools reopening plan that the governor proposed, we wanted to put all of those steps into this calendar so we could see in a snapshot what would have to be done to follow those requirements of the incentive grant. And so you can see what happens to February. Now, it is true that plan as presented is probably, well, the first deadline's already passed, and it probably will not see the light of day in its current format. But there are some things that we as a board, as a district, and then as a board will have to act on if it does come to pass in the next few weeks. And all of it is really in the month of February. So later in the agenda, we have an item to schedule a special board meeting before the March 1st deadline. And I think Eric is also going to touch on this more when we get to the next item, which is the reopening, the CSP, the safety plan to reopen, which has to tie to the COVID prevention program. So this is just a tool that we use to see the things that will need to happen over the next 4.5 months. This is our guidelines that we follow. That is really just our rules for developing a budget for things. For example, we address staffing ratios. So we try to keep an average in the kinder through third grade, not to exceed 25-1. Fourth and fifth, 29-1, and so on and so forth. So it's again a public statement of our budget process. And this last one is a snapshot of the assumptions based on our enrollment, based on the new money. Here's that $300,000 that we're expecting to get on the LCFF side. And then what happens to that with the known expenditures that we'll need to pick up. So if we keep staffing at the status quo level that we projected back in December, we would need an additional $120,000 before we were deficit spending or considering reducing program. So you take that $123,000 from the new $300,000, and that leaves us an increase of about $176,000. And that's really what we can start talking about, whether it's salary augmentation, whether it's program expansion. But again, just a snapshot early in February, but it's very good news.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have questions? All right, let's move on to COVID safety plan. But that was rolled into that, right?
Actually, no, that's going to be a narrative from Eric. I'm stopping the share because the next item is the school accountability report cards. But we did not, we had worked on a very lengthy PowerPoint about the safety plan, and after all of the news and chatter over the last couple of weeks, we pulled it off the agenda, or pulled the PowerPoint, because we think it's just too much information and it's maybe completely irrelevant. So Eric was going to do his magic.
We'll give it a shot. Eric, go ahead.
I think it's coming up. Are we going to get through? Are we doing the reopening plan now?
We are COVID safety plan.
Yeah, so we're going to touch on the plans when we get to the reopening a little later in the agenda.
Okay. SARC for both schools, for both buildings.
The SARC is an acronym for the School Accountability Report Card. And in the current year, we published this document based on data from the prior year. So it's always a little strange. This is called the SARC 2019-20, but it's published in 2020-21. And it's required to be posted on our website. It's available in the school offices. And it's really just like a report card on how the school is doing. And it's a tool that some districts use for marketing their district. Realtors have called and asked for it when they're trying to sell homes in our district, to just summarize the data, whether it's demographics, as you can see, student groups, class sizes. It gets into test scores. Now, obviously, these are, you see the little blank right there in 2019-20 because there was no test scores. It's a compilation of different data sources put into a snapshot document. And so Spreckels is done, and then Buena Vista's is coming up. Teresa and Kate did a great job of pulling up, let's see if I can get there, some wonderful pictures of our students. There's, was that, Kate, was that last year's graduation? The drive-by?
Yeah, so that's the stage, and they would go across the diploma, take a picture. It's our socially distanced promotion. So
that is such a great picture.
Yeah.
So yes, it's an annual report, and they take a lot of time to put all these together. So thanks to Teresa and Kate and Monica, everybody has a piece of this, and then we publish it, and we can use it to promote our district.
Okay, very well. Any questions from board members?
I actually had a question. Yeah, and I think it was the Spreckels report. When I was looking through it and looking at the curriculum, I noticed, I think it was the social studies was adopted in 2007 or 2008. And it just stood out to me because compared to the other curriculums and also those that were at BV, it seemed to be quite older than the other curriculum. So that stood out to me. So I think if anybody can answer or respond to that.
Well, I have an answer to that. It took a long time for the frameworks to finally get updated, and textbooks are just now being rolled out for adoption in the last couple of years. So it might be time to do that. But during the recession, the last core subject to be updated was social studies, and that took a while to happen. But maybe staff can add more to that. I don't know.
Right. In our last LCAP, we included science and social studies as the next adoptions. I think both schools are in the process of making their science selection for this year. And BV's already, they found, they went with their social studies adoption. But I think, Teresa, the plan is for next year to go ahead and pilot and add social studies, correct?
Kind of. So, okay. Stephanie, in response, both Steve and Eric handled the question really well. We're moving in the cycle as quickly as we can. And we started with all the new adoptions. We started with math, then language arts, and now we're working on science. The middle school's adopting now for science. We started to pilot. So we are in the first round of piloting. We're probably going to pilot at least 2 programs and hopefully adopt sometime next year. And then as soon as we do that, we will pick up and do social studies. But that, like Steve said, was the order. But I do want to share that those books are used for more as a resource than it is as a teaching tool. Right now, the books that are there, some of them don't really come out too often. They do a lot of, teachers do a lot of work with their own curriculum and searching and pulling up things that we've approved for them to try, and a lot of digital sources and technology, a lot of current events, and much more current things, because that's really important for them to be able to use. So yeah, we'll get there, but that's exactly right. Social studies is last.
Great, thank you. That makes sense. It's just in the cycle, you were updating all the others. It happens to be the last one. So perfect, thank you.
Yeah, usually go about at least you go about a decade with textbooks, but because of the recession and the delaying of updating the state frameworks for social studies being the last one, that's why they're looking super old. Yeah. Okay. MCOE review of our first interim. Oh my gosh, it's a letter to me. That's not good, or is it good?
It's very good. I'll go to the second page where they basically say, maybe it's the third page.
I think it was the first page when it says we agree that positive
yes.
certification. That was the first page.
Okay, thank you, Eric. There it is, this piece right here. We concur. So it's a thank you letter. We're doing great.
As we usually are. Thank you very much for that. Any questions, folks, on that? I mean, someone checked our fiscal records and said, well, things are in fiscal order. All right, thank you. Action. Casavan Architects pre-designed services agreement for Spreckels School toilet relocatable replacement project. That was a lot. It was a long nomenclature. Go ahead.
Are you gonna motion on it?
Yeah, I mean, it is action, so I guess maybe we need a motion. Yeah, thank you.
So moved.
Moved.
I'll second.
Seconded. All right.
So this is the first proposal from the architects to do the pre-design services to replace the toilet buildings. And I've had an initial meeting with her. The facilities committee has had 2 meetings now. And both Steve and Jennifer attended those meetings, and we presented a very rough budget projection to replace the unit with a similar type unit. It's a portable, it's a modular, if you will. And so the rough estimate, we're somewhere between $200,000 and $250,000 for the project. And after sharing it with the committee all agreed that we wanted to bring this pre-design services proposal forward for the board to ratify so that we could begin the process of sharpening up those numbers and really seeing what our options were. And Jennifer or Steve, do you want to share any about the committee process?
Well, we really like to meet. That's why we met twice. We love meeting. No, but we decided to go with something a little more. We decided to go with more square footage and more bathroom stalls unit.
More long term.
And Jen's gonna finish up by saying the other piece. We're gonna have more places to more larger facility, but also
long term. Yeah, and accessible to all. And Mrs. Sherpinski Teresa had good input on location. I think this will serve our students and and for the long. We don't want to have to keep replacing something every 3 years. Have this.
Yeah,
something that's going to last.
Any questions from the board members that aren't on the facilities committee on this? None? No more potty talk?
So hold on, I have a question. So what does this work order mean? Like I see rates and I see some conditions there, but I don't see the total amount. So what do we, if we approve this, what's going to happen next? It's preliminary.
Well, this is just for the architect to do the startup work on this.
Okay.
That's all this is.
Yeah, they'll do the pre-design work, and with that process, we'll finalize where we want to place it, what utilities might need to be changed, and she'll take all of that information and determine what construction cost would be.
Okay.
And then we'll have your answer then once this work is done, then we can answer that question.
Got
exactly.
it. Thank you.
And we'll probably have a couple options to choose from in different costs.
And they are taking into consideration if we happen to have students on campus, providing restrooms for them then.
Yes.
So all the details we've been trying. So if you guys have any other questions or comments, let us know. So just in case we're missing anything.
That's a good question. It's like, what are we going to pay for this? We don't know yet. I mean, we do have a ballpark, but we don't know exactly. And that's what this is for, to determine that. Okay, anything else? Anyone? All right. So seeing none, roll call vote on this. Chris is not with us today. Jen?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
And Michael?
Aye.
All right, thank you. That carries 401. Curriculum and instruction information. Gen Ed intervention program update.
Right. So in your packets and on the screen is the detail of what's being offered at both sites and how many kids are participating and which teacher's supervising. In general, we are doing our best to identify all the kids that really need additional support, and they're getting it in a combination of in-class support in small groups, breakout groups, pushing in additional staff into those classes. We have pull-out groups, our new learning loss teachers, the intervention teachers that we hired recently. Needless to say, they're working very hard. We've added electives after school offering at the middle school. But in general, we are in the process of beefing up our intervention, knowing that as we go further with the learning loss, we're going to need to continue making this a robust program. Our next move would be talking about some version of an extended year or summer school, knowing that we're probably going to identify more kids than before. We're working with the teachers to kind of come up with a plan to recruit as many and come perhaps an in-person and a virtual option, kind of what we're hoping to do in the spring. And now we're rolling to next year. We also would like to add some staffing to add to the intervention. As you already saw, there's a different pots of money that will be available. It's starting to play out. The specifics are starting to play out for this purpose specifically. So this is what we're doing as of last week. These numbers are going to change as we identify more kids. But just a shout out to our two new intervention teachers. Mrs. Deems is at Buena Vista, one of our old favorites that retired and we brought her back. And Mrs. Favaloro, who's also doing a wonderful job at the lower school, who's hit the ground running. So principals, do you want to add to that?
Also a shout out to 3 of our bus drivers who have jumped in.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, at the middle school, we have one in 6th, 7th, and 8th, so Savannah Cabral, Anita McMillan, and Heather Brodell, who have followed a grade level all day, and then they join in on the study hall and do breakout rooms with each grade level so that they know the assignments that the students are missing. And they also join in on the homework club at Buena Vista after school on Wednesdays and Fridays so that the students have an adult that they can ask about the assignments, as well as the intervention specialist. So those 4 staff members have really took a lot of time to prepare a program that really is helping our students make up the assignments that they're missing and get caught up, or whatever they need additional help on, they know what's being assigned. So yeah, wanted to add them in there.
Too, I have a couple of ads. Hope Castillo is one of our general education aide, and she's part-time intervention, and so she has quite a few kids that she's working with. And in fact, she started working with them before we even had a teacher hired. So that, props to her for keeping it going. And then we also have 2 staff members who are doing additional support right now as mentors for those students who are having a hard time, we talked about earlier, coming to class, being there, getting their work done. And so just having some time to just chat with them and help them with their work, or just ask them what's going on and what they can do. And that's our librarian, Mr. McMahon, and one of our noon duties, Candy Bailey, and they're doing a phenomenal job. And we also have Alma Ruiz, who's also a noon duty, and she is working with our TK and supporting 3 of those little guys to help them get things done and to learn a little bit at a time. So really grateful for the staff.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from? I'm sorry.
Just
any questions from fellow board members? Sorry, Eric, go ahead.
No problem. Sorry, I was to tie it to a question earlier about the engagement. So Jen, some of those kids that we've identified as really suffering, Teresa's like pretty much matched them up with mentors. So their own little personal mentor. We're going to continue to try that. It's been a really good model. And like both principals said, what a big shout out to our classified for being willing to be creative. I've heard some interesting quotes like, whoa, this has been eye-opening. So I'm not sure what that meant, but it said.
And I did want to just add one more thing. This focuses on a lot of general ed interventions, but our special education teachers, coordinator, and instructional aides have been doing a ton to support our special education staff and to look at learning loss as a whole and identifying students who need the additional supports moving forward. So I did want to do a shout out to them because it's not painted here, but there's a lot going behind the scenes in our special education world as well.
Which is a perfect segue to the next one.
No, but did any board members have any questions about the gen ed intervention? Okay, go ahead. Special education update. Program update.
Tate, that was a beautiful transition. Thank you for the glowing introduction. So I will give you as much or as little information about this as you want. And like Veronica said earlier, if you have detailed questions, you're always welcome to reach out to me. Under the program changes and update, you'll see that we are serving 79 students in the district for special education. That number holds fairly consistent in the last few years. We're going to start to see some fluctuation there, I think. We do outsource some regional program placements for kids whose needs are more pronounced than what we can serve at the district. That number fluctuates. All of these numbers fluctuate throughout the year much more than our general enrollment and in general ed does. So I wrote this report for you last week. It's already changed this week. The trend that I want you to pay attention to is the end of that first paragraph. Oh, I'm sorry, Veronica, a little bit higher, please. That talks about the referrals for initial evaluations so far this year. Thank you, Veronica, that's perfect. So to date, in 2021, we have seen a 33% increase in initial referrals for special education. This reaches back to that general education intervention support that we need. And like Eric said, we've been able to really get that well established recently, and that's going to make, I think, a very big difference. Our SPED team has seen a lot of increase in parent concerns about their kids when they're intimately working with them during distance learning, and they're becoming very, very familiar with how their kid is learning or their concerns. And so we've been doing a lot of those conversations this year. For those of you who are familiar with special ed, you'll know that there's a lot of planning and collaboration and paperwork and documentation that goes into managing special education for any one student. So those 79 kids that we're working with directly, that's more than 79 meetings that we've been having since we've started distance learning. That's a lot of problem solving and collaboration that have gone into supporting those kids. In addition to that, there's the kids that we source into regional programs. We have 4 kids in regional programs for preschools this year. I anticipate an influx. There's potentially 9 more kids coming in the district that are on my radar right now in the next couple of years. I monitor those kids as they're identified early, and I watch them progress through the early intervention system so that we're ready to go with them when they turn 3 if they need a program. And right now there's about 9 kids on my radar that I'm monitoring. That's also a very fluctuating number. The last paragraph here will show you the breakdown of the different eligibility categories that we have students in. You'll see that more than half of our students are eligible for special education as having a learning disability. That's significant for the student, of course, and for the teachers serving them, but also when it comes to the state's monitoring of our performance on state testing. Consistently, we've gotten a little slap on the wrist for having our special ed students not perform highly enough on state testing, but you can see more than half of our kids on IEP support are there for a learning disability. So before we talk about the financial implications of all of this support, I would like to do a shout out since tonight is the night for shout outs. It's my turn. It's my turn tonight. As I've said a few times in previous conversations, special education is closely regulated and monitored by the federal government. So the flexibility that the state afforded to education in the spring when we shut down was not extended to special education. And so the special education team hit the ground running aggressively in March when we shut down to continue to document our educational benefits and our efforts to reach kids and show that what we were doing was what we had agreed legally to be doing. I cannot say enough about everybody just rolling up their sleeves and pitching in to serve a complicated group of kids in a really meaningful way. So much so that 2 weeks ago, the state sent a notification to Superintendent Tarallo, who forwarded it to me and said, this looks like good news to you. What does it mean? And I read through it and I started to cry a little bit because it was a notification from the state that of all of the metrics that they monitored for us for special ed in 1920, we were satisfactory across the board. And I said, this feels so anticlimactic. We have worked so hard, and to just get a little notice from the state that we didn't fail seems so significant. So I couldn't be more proud of the kids that we're serving, their families for reaching out to us, the SPED staff across the board for problem solving and creative collaboration. It's been an amazing privilege to work with this group. I'll entertain any questions you guys have.
Does anyone have questions?
Thanks for letting me take so long to do my shout out.
Well, thank you. Well done. We are moving all the way down to committee updates.
We've already mentioned facility committees met a couple times, and you saw their work. Today we held our first calendar committee meeting with the goal of bringing you a first read in March. We start with the templates that's very similar to years past, but then we go ahead and plug in things like open house and the professional development days. There was a question today about, well, do we have a plan B if things don't clear up? And at this point, we are completely optimistic that we're starting next year normal. That's our goal. That's our hope. So the calendar is built with the hope, the assumption that we're going back to full in-person in the fall, and we'll see how that plays out. But the calendar committee is comprised of teachers, classified, and management. The teachers and classified will now go back to get feedback from their groups. And we meet, I think, in a week and a half, and then we'll come to you in March with a first draft.
All right. Thank you. Any questions? on that? None. Okay, school reopening plan update.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. I have a very brief and general plan to share. Please let me know when you can see it.
See it. We can see it. Well, I can.
So I want to start by saying that our goal has remained the same the entire year. It's to bring kids back to school in person, which we all agree is a superior form of learning as soon as it's deemed safe. And we realize it's taken a long time, and we continue to work at preparing and remain optimistic that it's going to happen. Like Veronica mentioned, we put ourselves on a timeline. We are planning to meet the March 1st deadline, regardless of how the governor's plan plays out, because we need to go ahead and organize our time with the hope, again, that on March 15th, if possible, if the county and the state and our locally, we agree that it's safe to bring kids back, that we could bring TK through second back first. So that's the goal. Now, how that plays out is still very, very up in the air. The last meeting, we talked about the governor's proposal. That proposal is still just that. It's proposal getting a lot of pushback. Right now, it's being negotiated in Sacramento. It will not, as I think mentioned already, it will not end up probably close to what it started out. And at best, we can make some guesses about what it's going to look like, but time will tell. I was at a webinar in the last couple of days. We're hoping that by next week there'll be some clarity, and if so, then we'll move from there. The area of concern on there was quite a few areas of concern. One was the cadence of testing. In Deep Purple, schools were supposed to test both students and staff on a weekly basis, which will be daunting. As mentioned before, some of the deadlines were very unrealistic. Case in point, February came and went, and there was no plan to even apply for. So again, the proposals, it's being worked out in Sacramento, and hopefully we'll have some clarity soon. There are some new requirements starting not this Monday, but the last Monday. We now have a state reporting requirement that I go online every Monday and basically indicate which instructional mode we're following, from full in-person to hybrid to cohorts to what we in most districts are doing, which is distant learning. The testing program we've talked about in the past being one of the main obstacles. We are happy to say that we are now starting that process. We're going to go ahead and piggyback on what the county's doing, which is going with the state partnership with what's called Valencia Labs. We've begun what's called the onboarding of giving them the information of how many staff members we have and getting that set up. So when we are ready to come back, that testing will be in place. If it's weekly or every other week, depending on how it plays out, Valencia Labs is ready to go. They understand the guidelines since they're part of that conversation from the get-go. The vaccine is now becoming quite the talk. I think Monterey County is finishing up Tier 1A and going into 1B, which is 75 and older. Educators are on 1B Tier 3 with other types of workers like ag. And just as a numbers game, if you take the amount of educators, 18,000 in the county, and add to the ag workers and some other groups, you have many, many more workers than you have vaccines. So how that plays out and who gets prioritized is going to be interesting to watch. As of now, it's anybody's guess. The good and the bad news is that the good news is that our COVID metrics have started in the last 2 weeks to show a decline, a steady decline. And that if it declines at the rate it's been going, hopefully by mid-March or so, we will meet where we need to be, which is 25 to 100,000 new cases. But as of this last Tuesday, we're still pretty high. For adjusted cases, we're at 52.3, which is, as a county, which is much higher than the state, but it is down from 66.6, so that's the good news. And our positivity rate, although still high, is also down. So just crossing our fingers that people are doing what they need to be safe and bring down those numbers at the county level, so we could actually really entertain bringing kids back once we get to that level. We'd like direction tonight to keep on with those deadlines. The March 1st deadline, apply for the waiver, if I'm not sure on the waiver, but the incentive grant, if in fact it's still offered, with the goal of bringing kids back in March 15th again, if it's safe. And that would require us to reconvene our reopening committee within the next week or so. And as you probably already noticed in the board agendas, schedule a special meeting to have this conversation again once things play out at the end of the month. So that is really the general. I stayed away from the specifics. Veronica had mentioned the plans. There's going to be two main plans that are required. This CSP, which is the COVID safety plan, that needs to be posted to our website 5 days out, I believe, from when we actually plan on opening. So we're working on it to complete it. But there are, testing and vaccinations are parts of that need to be worked out. And then there's a checklist that goes with that. So all those things are happening in parallel lanes, but we're confident we're going to get done what we need to bring to you for a decision, hopefully in late February or March. So,
okay. I don't have one. We'll talk about scheduling a special here when we get to it under action. Does anyone have any questions? It's hard to ask questions about something we don't even know exactly what it's going to look like yet.
Exactly.
But I'm just making sure no one has any. Okay, let's move on then to thank you. It's hard to be patient with Sacramento. I appreciate you remaining patient with Sacramento. All right, moving on to action. Final read, March 2020 policies per guide sheet. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussions, comments, concerns on those? Seeing none, roll call vote. Chris is not here. Jen?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
And Michael?
Aye.
It carries 401. Moving on to first read October 2020 policies per guide sheet. Need a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
And second, thank you. Any discussion there? Concerns? Seeing none. Chris is not with us. Jen?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
And Michael?
Aye.
Okay, sounds like it carries 401. Thank you. Schedule special school board meeting later in the month. To our calendars. So the point of this, and Eric already spoke to it, we could very well need to have a special meeting if Sacramento makes concrete directive decisions on what to do about reopening, with a, on or about March 1st moving forward. Because that's a date that's been batted around, at least in one bill that is falling apart. But anyway, that being said, we need to be ready. And would the week of the 22nd be too late, too soon, Veronica, Eric, or would it be just right?
I think we were going to propose a day on that week. Veronica, was it the 25th, the Thursday?
Yeah, the 25th was our first choice, if your calendars work.
What time were you thinking?
Anytime you want.
Can we please keep 6:30 so it's consistent?
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. How about Stephanie and Michael, though?
Yeah, it works well for me.
Okay.
Yeah?
Me too.
Okay. I'll just have to miss a hockey game, but that's okay. I'll get over it.
Do you need a motion?
To miss the hockey game?
Well, it as a secondary effect.
And perhaps tertiary too. But anyways, yes. Could you please and go ahead and fill in the date and time on your motion?
Yeah. So I move that we schedule a special board meeting on February 25th at 6:30 p.m.
And I second that.
Sure. Thank you. Let's get a roll call vote on that. Chris is not with us. Jen?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
And Michael?
Aye.
All right. Let me write that down so I can schedule it. 2:25 at 6:30, right? All right. Special calendar. All right.
Steve, just very, very quickly, if nothing happens legislatively, this may not have to happen, and we would send out notification to the board and actually post on our website as well, since we're taking an action to hold this and then possibly cancel it.
So I might get to watch a hockey game.
You might get to watch a hockey game because we have a regular board meeting the following Tuesday night.
Well,
the following Thursday, a week later.
We've already established that Jen and I like to meet, so.
Aw.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, sure. Okay. The motion carries 401. Thank you, everybody, for being flexible with scheduling a special. Consent. Oh, that means we're almost done. Does anybody want to pull anything from consent and discuss it?
Yeah, I would. We have a retirement we'd like to acknowledge.
So let's deal with consent bundled and pull. You want to pull D1? D1.
Yes.
You want to pull D1? So we'll deal with that after, and let's get the rest of consent out of the way. No, let's not. No, let's do it your folksy way.
Folks, that's right.
Yeah, let's recognize the teacher, and then we'll deal with consent.
Sounds good. Yeah, we just want to recognize Mrs. Powers, who's a huge part of the Buena Vista culture, has been for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I remember her interview, actually. Back in the day when we had a big teacher shortage, I was actually actively recruiting, and she was just happened to be here on a trip from New York, and we were able to interview her, lock her down. She said she's going to be here for a couple of years and end up being a decade and a half, and she's been amazing. She's, again, a huge part of the culture there. She started the recycling committee, which is now a staple there, and I know Kate is sad to see her go, but Mrs. Powers has paid her dues, and we wish her the best in retirement. We're going to hope to have her and Mrs. Priest, who also retired, back in some form, whether it's virtual or in person by the end of the year, to truly acknowledge them. But Kate, do you want to say a few words? I know you played tennis with her, so maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll get to play more tennis with her after this too. But yeah, no, I am really going to miss Powers. It's not too often that you find such a math teacher. Math teachers are really hard to come by, and that was her passion and her love. And she has done a phenomenal job at Buena Vista, but to also have another love of teaching students how to respect the environment and to respect our world, and to spend every single one of her lunches out there with the kids, showing them how to recycle, reuse, and reduce, was just amazing. And so I do want to do a big shout out to Ms. Powers, not only for just being a phenomenal teacher, but also for being a great friend. She really has brought a positive outlook to the Buena Vista campus, and I don't know how we're going to fill those shoes. So Powers, if you're watching tonight, thank you so much for all of your contributions.
Thank you for that. Okay. Consent. Seeing no one else wants to pull anything, we need a motion on consent. Did we get a motion on consent yet? No.
No.
We need a motion. Yes.
I move to approve the consent items.
And I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Roll call vote. Chris is not with us. Jen?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
And Michael?
Aye.
Motion carries 401. Thank you. Future agenda items. I see some things here. Do we need to add anything? Take away? We never get to take away. Well, we might be able to take something away on that special. Anything else, staff? We good on future items?
We're fine, yeah. We're going to try to keep the special to just a couple items, and then, as you can see, March is going to be a pretty full agenda.
Yeah, it's looking that way. Yeah, as it usually is, right? Okay. With that, if I had a motion to adjourn, that would be fabulous.
I move to adjourn.
And I second that.
No. Chris Hasegawa would tell you, Stephanie, you don't need a second to adjourn. But
I didn't want to delay us any. I wanted to get it in.
I accept your second anyway. All those in favor, roll call vote. Chris is not with us. Jen?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
And Michael?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned 401. Thank you, staff, for everything you do and being flexible is an understatement this year.
Thank you.
Mudslides, fires, COVID, Sacramento. And the student engagement, oh my gosh. Holy cow. That's amazing. But we're adjourned. So
Spreckels strong.
right on.